Hi, everyone. I know how hard it can be when your company and your teams are growing quickly. In this talk, I'll be helping you to shape your Jira to help you scale the way you visualize and track work across multiple work streams and teams in Jira Software. I'm Ivan. I'm a product manager in Jira Software for the last 4 years, and I'm really excited to learn and share some best practices that I've learned from customers over the last few years. But before I begin, please post questions that you may have in the chat so that we can track the questions. We will have some time at the end of this presentation for some Q&A. We also have Brian Lim, who's a moderator for this session. He's a PM like me for Jira Software, and he will be helping with facilitating answering of the questions in the chat when required. So to kick things off, I really want to show you how the world of teams is changing before going deep into how Jira Software can adapt to the way your teams work. Am I correct to say that all of us want to do a great job to plan, prioritize, work, and manage dependencies? Scaling Agile for visibility across different teams and work streams have introduced new challenges because of the changing landscape of how teams work. We are seeing organizational structures changing to break down silos and complicated hierarchies. Companies are moving towards a more hybrid model and focusing less on their organizational hierarchy for working. Work gets done by smaller cross-functional teams spanning organization boundaries to tackle a big problem. And management may try to steer the autonomous teams without passing down decisions or dictating work. They do this by educating the teams on the high-level strategic direction, business constraints, and product principles for the teams to work within. Besides the change to the hybrid model of hierarchy and autonomy, we have seen work trends evolve in the last year. According to the Gartner industry report on future work trends, work are more distributed than ever before. Teams have to become agile in order to keep pace with fast-changing market trends. And organizations want to track their investments to help with better decision-making. And you put all of this together with a fast-growing company, and chaos begins. So now we know that the landscape is changing. Let's see how a single team evolves to an enterprise. When a single team is using Jira Software to manage development projects, things are still not that chaotic. As the team starts to scale to a team of teams, complexity arises with visualizing and tracking work as interdependencies increase. Teams need to understand how work contributes to the bigger picture and inform many more stakeholders on their progress. They may also have to frequently replan due to changes internally and externally. If the team of teams is able to sustain their agility to transform to become an enterprise, you've got a winner. So visibility of the work is key at all these different stages, but gets really hard as the company grows. Now that we have seen how the world of teams work, let's take a look at our options for visualizing and tracking work in Jira Software. We're going to focus on understanding the needs of the majority of our customers in Jira Software today, which are single teams and team of teams. So in Jira Software, there are 3 ways to visualize your work. We're going to review quickly what boards are optimized for and work our way up to advanced roadmaps. As you know, Jira is super flexible, so you can customize it any way you want for visualizing and tracking work, but some ways are better suited than others. Boards are optimized for the team members that are doing all the work and better suited for tracking work at the team level. Roadmaps caters to the product or engineering manager so that they can organize and plan at the team level. Advanced roadmaps, a Jira premium feature, optimizes in helping program managers for a company's entire department organize and plan work for multiple teams as they need greater coordination. The key value of Jira is to break work down using the different levels of issue hierarchy. At the lowest level are stories and subtasks, which will be under issues called epics. Epics are very big user stories that will take a couple of sprints to deliver. Before we had roadmaps, there was no easy way to do higher level epic planning. The backlog had to handle all the planning work, breaking down of epics, and prioritization of issues. This led to a very busy backlog. After we introduced roadmaps, it became better suited for planning epics at the team level. Planned features can graduate to the roadmap as an epic or to the backlog as a story. They would then end up on the board when prioritized for the coming weeks. Of course, the backlog continues to have value for sprint planning and backlog grooming. Advanced roadmaps is better suited for issues like initiatives that is a level higher than epics in the issue hierarchy. Initiatives are work that may take a couple of months or even quarters and may involve more than one team working together. Initiatives and beyond are useful because they help align work to the bigger picture. Now that we know at a high level what visualizations are possible in Jira Software more broadly, I'll be focusing on how to make your boards powerful. Of course, you can learn more about roadmaps and advanced roadmaps in other Jira Software product demos. You may be asking yourself, is it possible for me to visualize and track work across teams and work streams in Jira Software on boards? The answer is yes. Although boards are meant for the team level, but the amazing thing is that you can still use it for a team of teams. So let's see how boards work for a team of teams. I will also be sharing some tips and tricks on how to set them up. There are two main ways to track work across multiple teams and work streams on boards. Multiple boards within a Jira project and cross-project boards. Setting boards up for your teams properly from the start is really important because it's like renovating for your new house. Your furniture is like your board's data and your family is like your team. You want to renovate your house properly before everyone moves in so that you don't have to renovate with all your furniture inside, or worse, disrupt your family when they're living inside already. To provide some context for users new to Jira, multiple boards already exist in Jira's company managed projects. You can create boards in one project via the board switcher in your left navigation, as you can see here, and create more secondary boards and more inside the existing project or a new project. So to help you understand these use cases for these boards, let's start with a game. The game is called Have You Ever? I'll tell you about customers whom I have interviewed and the problems that they faced. And you reflect if it has ever happened to you too. Have you ever been at the beginning of a sprint and the design work was not fully ready? Like this product manager of an Italian venture builder. Your front-end developers tell you that they can't estimate the design story points, which blocks your team velocity. You need a way to track design work separately, but not in a sprint, as 4 weeks is too long for the startup world. That's why you'll need multiple boards. A team may need a board for discovery work, where they refine, design, and analyze work, and another board for the development sprint for engineering tasks. Have you ever needed different levels of details in Jira for different audiences? Like this product marketing manager of a supply chain data management SaaS company. You didn't want to confuse your audience, or worse, annoy them with things that they don't care about. This is especially important since Jira is known to be scary and complex, and you are a Jira advocate. There are multiple ways that you can slice up your work into different boards, not just for discovery and development work. It could be different teams or different products. You can be tracking work on features versus performance versus bugs. And you can also be tracking work across the skill sets of your team. Like you could have one board for product, one board for design, and one board for development. Have you ever wanted a single card representing the customer needs flowing across different boards? Like this product manager of a food supply supplements website, you want to keep recycling the same card across boards, as you don't want the customer's perspective to be changed or worse, lost to your team. To fulfill that need, the workflow needs to be connected across boards. This means that an issue that has gone through different boards will record the issue status changes as a system of record throughout. To do that, you need the right column status mapping. Column status mapping is when you map issue statuses to boards columns in order to control what issues show up on your board and backlog. You can do this in the columns page within board settings. You need to map different issue statuses to each board's columns in order to reflect the different kinds of work that you want to show up on your board. As you can see here, you can pull the issue status you don't want to the unmapped status panel so that they're not mapped to the columns on your board. In this case, you don't want QA, in progress, or done statuses to show up on one of the boards. Now that you have mapped the statuses you want to show on the boards to its columns, when you go back to the board view, you'll only see the issues with the statuses mapped to the columns just now. You don't see the issues with the unmapped status of QA, in progress, or done. They're still within a project, but hidden from your board. However, as I said, it's important to make sure that there's a connected flow across all the different boards, right? So you need to make sure that there's a shared issue status mapped to the last column of the first board and the first column of the second board. This enables the card to be transitioned seamlessly across the boards. How does that work in practice? Let's say you have an issue in design review. As you move it to ready for dev, the status changes to ready for dev. At the same time, the issue appears on the second board due to the shared issue status across boards. And when the issue moves to the in progress column in the development board, it will disappear from the preparation board because there's no longer a shared issue status across boards. And at the same time, the status of the issue changes to in progress. Now, the history of your issue status changes will record all the different status changes as they travel through as many boards as you want. Isn't that amazing? If you don't need separate project configurations, you can use this method to track multiple boards that is sharing the same project configuration. Have you ever wanted a different workflow for different issue types? Like this product lead of a digital transformation consultancy. You want bugs to have different workflow transition rules because there's no requirements gathering step like traditional user stories. You may also have another step where you check with customers to see if the bugs have been resolved. So with different workflow rules and board configurations per board, you can customize the agile ceremonies and team needs for each board. You can set up different workflow transition rules for the different boards with different issue statuses. As you can see here, you can go into a workflow editor to modify the transition rules. You can show all the transitions by clicking a checkbox. And then you can easily move all the statuses around with all the transition rules. And adding a transition is as easy as pulling a line from a status to another status. And as you can see here, I'm adding a transition rule for when a task from the UX backlog has been deprioritized into the not doing status. So since each board has different issue statuses mapped to it, it will allow different transition rules since the workflow rules are tied to the issue statuses. For example, the designer on your team is likely to need a very different workflow than your engineers. Design work needs a different cadence to explore all the possibilities before locking in the final designs. By doing this, you have very different workflow processes configured for the different types of board for different members of your team. This way, your team will be very happy because they think that you understand their needs and are able to configure the boards to the way that they work. So workflow rules are configured based on issue type per project. So you could also set up different transition rules, as I said just now, for the epic issue type compared to a story or subtask or bug issue type. This will make sure all boards within the same project will have the same rules per issue type. In this example, your epics may be blocked by the bigger dependencies in the business, so you can make sure that any blocking or deferment is reflected in your issue status. On the other hand, you may need more stages for stories and subtasks, such as QA and automated tests. Isn't it great that your stories and subtasks will always meet your definition of done before shipping to production? Now you can make sure that it must transition through the right statuses for different issue types, so no stones are left unturned. And the best thing is you can do it for all boards per issue type within each project. Also, you can utilize labels and automation for Jira to automatically transition issues upon issue creation into the right board. Automation for Jira can be set up in your project settings under automation. By doing that, whenever you create an issue, it will flow straight into the board it's supposed to be in. Save time by automating all the manual work. Now that you have learned how to set up multiple boards via column status mapping, automation for Jira, and workflow transition rules, let's look at cross-project boards. Have you ever had your team members work on multiple ongoing projects? Like this data science manager managing his team of data scientists for a commercial trucks company. For members working on multiple work streams in parallel, you'll need a cross-project board for their work that cuts across many different Jira projects. Have you ever wanted a Jira project for each client? If you're working in a consultancy, for example, with different boards in each Jira project representing different initiatives for that client. Like this project manager of a software consultancy, you want each client to have no permission to visit other clients' projects, but you also want to let them be able to track their own initiatives on different Jira boards within one project. However, you want to be across all your clients, and for that very reason, you need different Jira projects for each customer, but you may have one board that cuts across all the customers that you have. So these two prior use cases boils down to the need of being able to prioritize work. As you can see over here, have you ever worked across multiple projects, or any of your members work across multiple projects and have to plan sprints in a single view? Like this product manager for software agency, you want to prioritize across all teams and work streams in a global context so that you can optimize for the biggest impact tasks across the whole company. So as you can tell, you want some of your boards to be pulling issues from multiple Jira projects and not just one. This overview cross-project board helps you to prioritize and track tasks across all teams and projects. Just a note that this is somewhat similar to advanced roadmaps, but at a more granular level. I'll imagine some team leaders or executives may want this level of granularity for prioritization's sake, or for a more clear indication of the work's status. So do I have any tips that I have for cross-project boards to serve these needs? You can easily create a cross-project board that has the visibility that you need. You can go to the issue navigator in your project, where you can use the basic mode here to create the board filter that filters with the right JQL to pull the issues that you want into a cross-project board. JQL represents Jira querying language. And what this means is that using the basic mode, instead of the JQL mode, as you can see on the top right, there's a JQL mode, you don't need to know how to write JQL to create the boards that you need. So as you can see here, I'm creating a cross-project board that pulls across multiple projects. And here it's really simple with the basic mode. So now that you know how to create your cross-project board, how do you prioritize your tasks in a global context? The easiest way to do that is using quick filters, where you can filter the highest priority tasks from all your projects during master sprint planning across projects. Here you can see the highest priority issues filtered visibly through that priority field when you activate the urgent quick filter. You can create a quick filter in your board settings called urgent using a simple JQL as shown here, which filters for you to see only the highest priority issues from the different projects. What's next? After getting your priorities right, don't you want a quick way of checking the status of each task by project on your board view? You can do that by grouping your issues by project on your board view using swim lanes, as you can see here. Here you can see the Cat Boost project swim lane first, followed by Kiki, Moro, and Totoro projects. And all these names are just came from like the Studio Ghibli film. If you're a fan of the Studio Ghibli films, these are just characters in the Ghibli films, and we work quite closely with other teams that is also named similarly in Atlassian. This is just like a little nugget for you on why we came out with these names. Fun fact. So yeah, like very easy to set that up in your board settings. You can actually base your swim lanes on projects. So just click into swim lanes in your board settings and you can base it on the swim lanes on projects or some other thing that you prefer. So to recap, you have learned how to set up cross-project boards using the issue navigator, track high priority tasks in a global context using quick filters, and group your issues by project on the board view using swim lanes. You've learned a ton around Jira today, so now it's time for questions.
Yep, we have one question so far in the chat. Continue to post, but there's one from Sakriti. Is there a way to periodically start a sprint?
Sorry, can you rephrase that question?
Yeah, Sakriti, do you want to expand a little bit more on what you mean by that?
Yeah. Not sure whether that person is able to talk.
Yeah, it'll all be through the Zoom chat. We see it through the Zoom chat. Let's see.
Is there a way to periodically start a sprint? When you say periodically, do you mean that it's controlled in a customized way? Meaning like you want to automatically start a sprint at certain points in your team's life cycle, or what do you actually mean by that? Can you explain, or are you typing now? Don't think I'm getting anything, but I think you may be talking about scheduling, some kind of like sprint scheduling functionality. If I remember correctly, if I'm not wrong, is there like a scheduling sprints functionality in advanced roadmaps or roadmaps? Do you know, Brian?
I thought there was. I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to check myself. Let's see.
Yeah, I think if I remember, that could be some kind of scheduling sprint functionality that's available in advanced roadmaps. I'm not sure whether there's one in roadmaps. I have to check, but if you're talking about boards, I don't think there's a way to schedule the sprints. But yeah, maybe there might be in automation. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check that for you. Is there other questions? Doesn't seem like there's more questions. So what do I do now? Like, I think there's only one question from the group. Shitanshu.
Yeah, there was just a one question. Let's wait for a couple of minutes. We can end the session if we do not get any more.
Looks like there's one more question. Can we reopen a closed sprint?
Yes, you can. So if you want to reopen a closed sprint, you actually need to go into the sprint report, and that's like a meatball button that you can click on that you can reopen a sprint that has already been closed. Yeah, doesn't seem like there's a lot of questions for me, so that's fine. But anyway, I'll just share my before because we have a bit of time, I'm keen to know where you're from. Like, are y'all from different parts of the Asia Pac, considering the time zone is like in India time? Is it? Can you post in the chat maybe like where you're from? Oh, everyone's too shy. But it's okay. Our Pacific time. India, okay. The Cleveland. Oh, we got a US. Oh, wait. Yeah, Patrick. Yeah. Cool. I'll share my details. Let me just share my screen again. I'll share my contact details. If you want to have more questions, you can contact me on this. Oops, sorry, a minute. So if you want to have any follow-up questions for me, you can reach out on LinkedIn to me. My name is quite unique, Ivan Teong. I don't think you'll find a lot of Ivan Teongs on LinkedIn. So it's very easy. It's just like linkedin.com/in/Ivan Teong, or you can search for me on it, and I'm happy to connect with you and answer your questions. And if you want to get some help from the community leaders out there, there's a lot of very enthusiastic and passionate community leaders that may be able to help you with other questions related to Jira. Feel free to join the community at community@atlassian.com, and a lot of people will be able to help you there to utilize Jira to the best of your abilities. So yeah, like I think, if I'm not wrong, okay, there's some problem. We can see your back end, not the last slide. What? You can see my back end. Sorry, what do you mean by that? Hold on. I don't know, the sharing mechanism is a bit confusing. Can you see my screen now? Okay, cool. Anyway, yeah, that's me, my LinkedIn. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and ask me questions if you have any questions. And if you want community leaders to help you, you can actually go to community and they'll be able to help you all kinds of random questions. We have quite a passionate group of people in the community who is keen to help new users. And there's a bunch of other talks after my talk in the next 45 minutes, which you can join as well, as you can see over here below. So yeah. Cool. Okay, thanks everyone. Nice meeting you all. See ya.